Alright, hi everybody, it's Bonkai922. Excuse the shave that I did here. I look like Captain Ahab here, but I just watched another episode 7. What the? Indeed. Indeed. The name of this episode was Sphere Joint. Oh my god. The guy who's the homeroom teacher for them, he takes out the knife, okay? He's like, he's rubbing around and everything. He's like, and he just shoves it right in his neck and he pulls it and he's like, the blood is flowing everywhere. And that's when, I forgot the guy's name, but the professor who was there during the first attempt, the first time during the calamity, he tells everyone to leave. He comes in and he says, "Are you alright, Konichi?" He doesn't say his name. He says, "Are you alright?" He says, "Yeah." He's like freaked out too. Everyone's freaked out. It's like ridiculous. And you know what fucking pissed me off a little bit during the very beginning of the episode? It was Akazawa. She's the one who's the head of the countermeasures committee. She's looking at him like two or three people are looking at him like it's you're to blame. But from there we go to and then after that scene we have Koichi. I say Kenichi, Koichi, and Masaki, and they're with that professor I just told you about, the one who was there during the first time of when the calamity first started. Um, and basically he's telling them, the whole business of it. Oh, he was just talking to him about it, and that this time around, two people being non-existent isn't gonna work. So after that scenario, um, Koichi, Masaki, and that other kid are on the roof, and they're talking about it and saying, that he's saying to Koichi, you shouldn't blame yourself, so and so forth. And then, Akizawa, she shows up, and she says, you should prepare yourself, because she was basically saying that people are going to blame you, and me as well. And then she says, but I don't blame you. She doesn't blame him for what happened. So from there, we go to the whole death scene was like ridiculous. Who does that? What professor would do that in their class? The blood spewing all over the place. Oh my god! But then what they find out in the episode also, before we get to what else happened in this episode, he was living alone with his mother, who was very ill, very sick, and she was very ill, very sick, and he killed her. So obviously he couldn't deal with the pressure anymore. The stress was killing him because it was his mother being ill and the responsibility of class 3 weighing down on him, and that's why he killed himself. He killed his mother and then he killed himself. And that was a whole bit of that. Later on, he goes to meet that same professor who was beginning, the librarian. He's the librarian now. And he basically is telling him about the calamity of when the year where it stopped mid-year. And that year was the year that I believe his mother, Koichi's mother, um, was a student there. And what happened was, and this show reminds me, it reminds me a lot of Final Destination. I hate to say it, but it's got that feel, like people dying in weird ways, people killing themselves in weird ways, and so on and so forth. And basically, only two people died, but they weren't lists. It wasn't listed in the attendance book as deaths. Instead, they were considered as accidents. It was a school trip, basically. And under that news, they also find out there's going to be a school trip in August. So that's also what happened. And meanwhile, also, what happens is, what else happens? I'm trying to think. In the episode, he has a really bad dream, Koichi, where he goes into the classroom and everybody's eyes are bleeding and the flesh is coming off their face and they're turning into this fleshy goop. And then you see Misaki and she stares at him and he says, "You are the dead one." And then his flesh going off his face like, ah! It's crazy. And he wakes up. Then he talks to his father about it. And a conversation that there's a ghost photo. There's a photo of his mother that's at her parents' house. That it's a ghost photo, which brings up a few things about it. And on that note, what happens also in this scene while he's at home, he goes to this meeting at a restaurant with Akizawa, one in charge of countermeasures. The kid who's supposedly her friend, the kid who he was talking to, the blonde-haired guy, I forgot his name. And this other kid, him and Kaizawa, Koichi, they're all there, and they're talking about the calamity, and they find news about this kid's sister, who's working at the restaurant they're at. She's the waiter. About this guy, Maniatanga? I forgot his name. It started with an M. But basically, this guy stopped the calamity by doing something or by getting something and putting it somewhere, supposedly. And also they find out, what was also found out, is that there was somebody that Koichi knows, his family, that was in that classroom, that was a part of that class, from the classmates of that year, and it was his aunt. And so if he can tell her or ask her where he lives, they can get to him and ask him what it was that he did. And on that note, also, he's talking to Misaki in the dollhouse again, her house. And she's telling him, I'm not going to be here. I'm going to be gone for a week, going on vacation with her family. And she also gives him her cell phone number to call her to make sure to see if there's any, things. And also tells him while he's looking at her in the back room of the doll store, "You are not the dead one." And Zawa was telling him, "You're not the dead one either." So, and that's, I'm trying to think if anything else happened. I think that was it. It was pretty much it. That transpired in this episode. But it was just so intense, that first scene. Oh my god. It was like, what the? Everyone's faces were like, you were totally shocked. Oh my god. It was like, what the fuck? It's like a what the fuck moment. What the fuck just happened? Now the next episode is called Pulling Hair or something, and it looks like they're on the beach. So it's a field trip, I guess. And they're on the beach and so on and so forth. And this is going to be episode 8, I believe. Now, as far as where they're going with this, who knows? But here's what I've noticed. Once that happened, once the professor killed himself, everybody was, she was talking to him. She started talking to him. And the other kid would start talking to Misaki. So it's obvious that now, since this happened, things are moving, that things need to be fixed, and so on and so forth. But now, as far as what really is causing this, I mean, it's obvious that having two people in the classroom to non-exist, saying to them, oh, you do not exist, that isn't working anymore. They have to do something else. So, I'm guessing soon, not next episode, because the next episode they're going on this field trip, but the one following it maybe will have them. They will probably go to meet this guy and ask him, what did he do? What did he do that no one else did that allowed the calamity to cease? But that scene, that beginning scene was so graphic. He stuffs the knife in his neck and he pulls on it, and he just blood everywhere. I'm like, blood went on people's faces. I'm like, holy shit, unbelievable. But the whole thing I was saying was, in the beginning, was they were looking at him when he walked out of the classroom. That, I think, was unfair. They should have told him. I highly don't understand why they should not have told him about this curse when he first started. If they had told him about it, then it wouldn't have mattered. It probably would have helped. But I don't think even if it would have helped. But there's no reason to blame him. Stupid. But yeah. So, and also it seems like this photo of his mother might shed light also on the situation. But as far as rating is concerned, I'll give this a 4.5 out of 5. Definitely. Oh my god, that beginning scene. Holy shit. Like, what the? It was like, oh my god. No. Just a knife in your throat. And also, there was this scene with the guy who was first the librarian, the professor who killed himself in the beginning scene. He had talked to him, and he said to him that, I can't do this anymore, supposedly. So this is what happens in this show. Rather people die of an accident or some weird way, or they kill themselves. That's how it goes. Because that's what I've noticed. When you notice all the deaths, most of them are accidents. Falling down the stairs and an umbrella pierces your throat. Trying to think. Getting a heart attack. An elevator throws you down a flight of stairs, and you die with crashing it down. So all were accidents. So we'll see. I mean, this show is really bizarre. Oh my god, it's so fucking bizarre. It's so ridiculous. It's like, it really is like Final Destination. People dying in weird ways. It's like death. Death. That's what I think it's like. Just death coming up at you. So, yeah. Good episode. I like where this is going. But a lot of blood in the beginning. It was just, what the fuck? It was like, everyone was screaming and crazy, and everyone was crying and everything. It was crazy. But obviously, Akizawa, she doesn't blame him. Koichi, I thought she was. But truthfully, she did not blame him. And she nudged that guy, obviously because you should have told him. But to some extent now, it seems like they're not going to ignore him anymore because it's not going to work. So, at least that happened. So we'll see. Next week, find out what happens. See you guys later.